All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Demolition Man, 1993. This is going to be another Karate Man recommendation. Giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was pretty retarded, but at the same time, kind of surprised you. It's like a roller coaster, this movie. The 21st century's most dangerous cop versus the 21st century's most ruthless criminal. It's Sylvester Stallone mumbling his lines, going up against Dennis Rodman. The future isn't big enough for the both of them. Demolition Man. The battle begins October 8th. All right. Stallone, Snipes. Here we go. Demolition Man is a 1993 science fiction action film directed by Marco Brambilla. In his directorial debut, it stars Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, Sandra Bullock, and Nigel Hawthorne. Stallone plays John Spartan, a risk-taking police officer with a reputation for causing destruction while carrying out his work. He's like Bruce Willis in he's like a Bruce Willis in in I can't think straight right now. He's like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. I can't even remember Die Hard. I must be losing my mind. So this is Stallone mumbling his lines, pretending to be the Die Hard guy. That's why they call him the Demolition Man. After a failed attempt to rescue hostages from evil crime lord Simon Phoenix Snipes, they are both sentenced to be cryogenically frozen in 1996. Now there's something that you have to really suspend disbelief. If you think cryogenics is going to be an actual scientific reality in 1996, I wonder what crack pipe he must be smoking. In 2032, Phoenix escapes and the authorities awaken Spartan to help capture him. The story makes allusions to many other works, including Aldous Huxley's 1932 dystopian novel, Brave New World, and H.G. Wells' The Sleeper Awakes. The film was released in the United States on October 8, 1993. To mixed reviews from critics, it earned $159.1 million worldwide, and it was a successful film for Stallone. Well, of course, it's lamestream. All this Karate Man stuff is lamestream. And nobody's in the chat room again. In 1996, psychopathic criminal Simon Phoenix kidnaps a busload of hostages and he takes refuge in an abandoned building. This part of the movie looks cool because everything's like Los Angeles looks like got hit by a bomb or something. LAPD Sergeant John Spartan, nicknamed the Demolition Man, for the large amounts of collateral damage he often causes in apprehending suspects, mounts an unauthorized assault to capture Phoenix. When a thermal scan of the area reveals no trace of the hostages, he raids the building and he confronts Phoenix, who sets off explosives to destroy it. The hostages' corpses are found in the rubble, and Phoenix claims that Spartan knew about them and he attacked anyway. Both men are sentenced to lengthy terms in the city's California cryo penitentiary, in which convicts are cryogenically frozen and they are exposed to subliminal rehabilitation techniques. So you've got Sylvester Stallone learning how to knit a sweater for Sandra Bullock. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Sandra Bullock. I did not like her in Speed 2 Cruise Control. But in this one, she's kind of a little bit funny, just slightly. I actually laughed at a couple of her jokes. And her hairdo is kind of interesting too. It's kind of like a bob, kind of, I don't know, bobby hair, kind of bouncy with a bowl haircut going on. Anyways, the production company is Silver Pictures, distributed by Warner Brothers, release date October 8th, 1993, running time 115 minutes too long, country United States, budget $45 million to $77 million, and box office $159.1 million. Not a bad return on investment. In 2032, the city of San Angeles, a metropolis formed from the merger of Los Angeles, San Diego, and Santa Barbara, is a seemingly peaceful utopia designed to run by Dr. Raymond Cocteau. Phoenix is thawed for a parole hearing and he escapes. He makes his way into the city where he overpowers and he kills several police officers who have never had to deal with violent crime. Lieutenant Lenina Huxley is an idealistic SAPD officer who's fascinated with 20th century culture. She learns about Spartan's career from veteran officer Zachary Lamb, who suggests that their best chance to stop Phoenix is by enlisting someone with the experience and mindset to anticipate his actions. Huxley persuades her superior chief, George Earl, to parole Spartan and to reinstate him. Spartan finds life in San Angeles to be sterile and oppressive, since all types of behavior deemed immoral or unhealthy have been declared illegal. Anticipating that Phoenix will attempt to secure firearms, Spartan has Huxley lead him to a museum, and he finds Phoenix looting an exhibit of weapons. Phoenix escapes, and Phoenix holds Cocteau at gunpoint, but Phoenix is unable to kill him as Cocteau has altered his rehabilitation program to prevent him from doing so. Cocteau orders Phoenix to kill Edgar Friendly, the leader of the Scraps, a resistance society that lives underground. And they're all for free speech. Isn't that nice? Free speech, eating unhealthy food, getting drunk. Spartan and Huxley discover that Phoenix's rehabilitation program was tailored by Cocteau to make him more dangerous. Phoenix persuades Cocteau to release additional cryo prisoners whom he leads underground to assassinate Friendly. Spartan and Huxley thwart an attempt on Friendly's life by Phoenix, who reveals that he framed Spartan for the death of the 1996 hostages. They were dead before the building exploded. After Phoenix escapes to the cryo prison, Spartan borrows weapons from the scraps, and Spartan pursues Phoenix. Unable to harm Cocteau, Phoenix has a minion kill him. Then he thaws out the cryo prison's most dangerous convicts, including Jeffrey Dahmer. After incapacitating Huxley for her safety, Spartan battles Phoenix, whom he kills by freezing him solid, and then decapitating him. I can't even say that word. Chopping off his head. The uncontrolled quick freezing effect then triggers an explosion that destroys the cryo prison right before Jeffrey Dahmer is about to awake. The police fear that the loss of Cocteau and his cryo prison will end society as they know it. Spartan urges them and the scraps to work together, combining the best aspects of order with personal freedom. All right. So if you like mindless entertainment, if you like Karate Man films, this is for you. I'm not saying it's a bad film, not by any stretch. It certainly was enjoyable. I have to say, for a lengthy movie, you just got to pick out the sweet parts. For instance, there's a nude scene that just pops out of nowhere for no reason. This lady in the shower just pops up on Sylvester Stallone's phone. And she says, "I'm sorry, wrong number." What that has to do with the rest of the movie, I don't know. But it's kind of cool and surprising. Anyway, the original script was written by Peter Langhoff, who retained a story by credit. Langhoff came to Hollywood straight out of college with no connections, and he wrote seven different scripts, desperately hoping to break into Hollywood. Selling the spec script of Demolition Man to Warner Brothers was his first big break. Langhoff had been inspired by Lethal Weapon, and he wanted to do something about cops. He was also influenced by stories of celebrities being cryogenically frozen and listening to Sting's song Demolition Man on repeat due to a broken cassette player in his car. His initial pitch was rejected by an executive who did not understand his frozen cop idea. The finished script, where a super cop has to battle the world's deadliest criminal in a future where there is almost no crime, generated more interest. Writer Daniel Waters, known for Heathers, said his version of the screenplay was essentially a rewrite. He changed the script so extensively that when the script went to arbitration, he received first screenplay writing credit. In the early drafts, the script was a regular action movie with no attempt at comedy. Waters pitched it as an action movie version of Woody Allen's Sleeper. Waters had an idea about a small part of Universal City, a shopping and entertainment area called City Walk, and wondered what it might be like if one day all of Los Angeles might be like that. And the idea grew from there. Waters says his intention was to have some fun that he was not trying to be political or deeply examine political correctness. He cited the conclusion of the film where society will need to find a new balance and compromise as representing his own position in the political middle ground. Oh, great. We've got a rhino Republican writing this script here. Burger King was originally written as a winner of the restaurant wars, but they and also McDonald's were not interested in being part of the film, but Taco Bell were happy to be involved. The three seashells concept originated when Waters was trying to come up with ideas for futuristic restroom and called writer Larry Karaszewski for suggestions, and he happened to be using the restroom when he answered the call. He looked around his bathroom and said he had a bag of seashells on the toilet as decorations. So Waters decided to use that. Waters wrote some of the script on index cards while waiting in line for Johnny Carson tickets. He said it was some of the fastest work he'd ever written and that he only worked on it for 2.5 weeks. The film began with John Spartan being taken out of cryogenic freeze in the future of 2032 until Fred Decker did uncredited rewrites of the script, adding the Los Angeles 1996 prologue to showcase Spartan and Phoenix in their natural environment and to make the differences of the future more striking. Decker explained, if you don't show Kansas, Oz isn't that special. Jonathan Lemkin also did uncredited rewrites on the film. Stephen D'Souza read the script, but he was unavailable to commit to rewrites. D'Souza recommended setting the film in the more distant future to make the culture clash more plausible. Producers rejected his suggestion because they wanted to keep the subplot of the Spartan finding his daughter, but ultimately that subplot was cut from the film. The script had been in development for 6 years before filming finally began. Director Marco Brambilla had a background in shooting big-budget TV commercials, and this was his first feature film. Brambilla was working to make Richie Rich, starring Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone, but they could not get the budget they needed. Instead, David Fincher recommended Brambilla to Joel Silver as director for Demolition Man. Steven Seagal had originally been attached as leading actor, and Jean-Claude Van Damme had been offered the part of the villain. Now, that would have been an interesting movie. Steven Seagal versus Jean-Claude Van Damme. Brambilla met Stallone a few days after getting attached to the project. And Brambilla started rewriting the script with Daniel Waters. The film went into production approximately 8 months after that. Producer Joel Silva was able to get highly experienced crew for the film, including editor Stuart Bard and cinematographer Alex Thomson. Brambilla brought costumer Bob Ringwood to the project because of his work on Dune 1984, and he wanted Alex Thomson because of his work on Alien 3 1992. So we'll give Alex Thomson credit for cinematography. Sorry, it's getting late. I keep slouching in my chair. Well, I got one thumbs up. Somebody's in the chat room. Cinematography. Okay, Alex Thomson. Stallone passed on the project at first, but he came back around to it. He liked the idea of two equal opponents in Spartan and Phoenix, and he decided to take a chance on doing something he had not done before. Stallone wanted Jackie Chan for the role of Simon Phoenix. Chan turned it down, not wanting to play a villain. Wesley Snipes turned down the role several times, so Joel Silver and Marco Brambilla went to the set of the film Rising Sun to try and convince him in person. Brambilla explained that he thought the film could be what he thought the film could be, and his passion for the script they were writing. And the next day they received a call and Snipes agreed to do the film. Brambilla said of Snipes, he works without rehearsing too much and he improvises a lot. The two of them, that combination of energies and the way they interact, really did the movie a lot of favors. They completely respected each other and were very professional, and they did get along. There was no ego or any competition between the actors. Lori Petty was originally cast as Huxley, but she was fired after 2 days of filming due to what producer Joe Silver called creative differences. Petty attributed it to personality differences, as she and Stallone did not get along. And she said Sly and I were like oil and water. Silver was looking for a replacement, and Lorenzo di Ventura recommended Bullock. Impressed by her audition tape, Silver hired her. Denis Leary said he was hired for a comedy rants, which he wrote himself, and had to undergo a long approval process by the studio before it was included in the script. General Motors provided the production team with 18 concept vehicles, including the ultralight. More than 20 fiberglass replicas of the ultralight were produced to portray civilian and SAPD patrol vehicles in the film. After filming had completed, the remaining ultralights were returned to Michigan as part of GM's concept vehicle fleet. The city of LA allowed the filmmakers to use and to demolish an old Department of Water and Power building in downtown Los Angeles. This enabled them to have more control over the explosion, instead of having to cut straight to the building being gone and rubble as they had been forced to with other projects. We actually created a crater in the middle of the building and have the explosion and rubble more designed, so to speak. It's fun to do that because those big pyrotechnics always look great, Silver noted. That's one reason to like this movie, the explosions. You've got explosions, nudity, police corruption, pretty decent fight scene at the end between Stallone and Snipes. It got a little hectic towards the end there. The film suffered repeated delays, and the original 72-day production schedule ran to 112 days. Stallone was out for a week due to injury. Heavy rains in Los Angeles delayed filming. A soundstage was also damaged in a fire. The production went through 5 assistant directors, and many crew had to leave to work on other projects. Insiders at Warner Brothers were critical of Silver for hiring a director without previous feature film experience. Silver rejected this view, saying, "Marco's done a brilliant job. We're overscheduled because this is a very hard movie to make, not because Marco is inexperienced." The crypto prison was set in the Metro Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles. The Pacific Design Center was used as Sunrise Court, Lenina Huxley's apartment building. Demolition Man was the first production to film at the Los Angeles Convention Center. As it was rebuilt in the 1990s, it was used as the Cocteau Center. San Angeles was filmed in Orange County, California. Several locations in Irvine and San Diego were also used. The SAPD police station in the background was the GTE corporate headquarters in Westlake Village, California, which later became the Baxter Healthcare Building and was used in the first episode of The Orville. The Pacific Design Center in West Hollywood was used for the exterior shot of Leninas Huxley's apartment building. The cryo prison used the exterior of the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles. Filming also took place at Wilshire Courtyard, 5700 and 5750 Wilshire Boulevard. A power station in Eagle Rock, Los Angeles was used as the underground dwellings of Edgar Friendly and the Scraps. The helicopter bungee jump at the start of the film was coordinated by Charles Pikemi and performed by stuntman Ken Bates. For safety and due to the danger of recoil back into the helicopter blades, a decelerator was used instead of a real bungee, and Bates jumped 300 feet, 91 meters, from a Chinook helicopter. According to Pikemi, it was a first. We've done that off buildings before, but never out of a helicopter. The film mentions Arnold Schwarzenegger having served as President of the United States after a constitutional amendment was passed, allowing him to run for office due to his popularity. Coincidentally, a day short of 10 years after the film's release, the 2003 California gubernatorial recall election was scheduled. The election saw Schwarzenegger actually begin a political career as the 38th governor from 2003 until 2011. He was lousy, trust me. Shortly after he was elected, an Arnold amendment did get proposed. One of the film's focal points is Taco Bell being the sole surviving restaurant chain after the franchise wars. The European version of the film substitutes Taco Bell with Pizza Hut because Taco Bell is not as well known outside the United States and Canada. Both restaurant chains were owned at the time by PepsiCo. Lines were redubbed and logos changed during post-production. According to the Wall Street Journal, this kind of localization of product placement was a first. The film was greenlit with a production budget of $45 million. The cost increased to $77 million after the shooting schedule was extended. The combined cost of production and marketing was estimated at nearly $97 million. So the net profit would have been 162.1 million. No, I'm sorry, 62.1 million. What am I talking about? Still a pretty decent profit. Not bad. A subplot involving Spartan's daughter was cut for pacing reasons. This led to some confusion at test screenings where audiences thought Sandra Bullock was the daughter and reacted negatively to the scene where they are about to have sex. Some Oedipus going on here. Originally, Spartan's daughter was one of the Scraps living underground with Edgar Friendly's resistance. A scene where Stallone fights Jesse Ventura was cut from the film. MTV held a competition and demolition event to promote the film with MTV sports presenter Dan Cortese as host and stars from the film in attendance. The Belknap Hardware and Manufacturing Company building in Louisville, Kentucky was imploded. The title theme is a heavier remix of the song originally recorded by Grace Jones and written by Sting during his time as frontman for the Police. We're talking about Demolition Man soundtrack here. The song was first released in March 1981 as an advance single from Jones Fifth Avenue Nightclubbing. Sting released an EP featuring the song and other live tracks entitled Demolition Man. Elliot Goldenthal composed the score for the film. It was the second big Hollywood project after the Alien 3 score. All right, we'll add his name. Oh, Karate Man finally made it in the chat room after 30 minutes. Am I on 30 minutes? Time stands still when you switch screens here. All right, what does Karate Man say here? Demolition Man predicted the future? How so? Stallone's character John Spartan yelling Phoenix as jumping out of the chopper during the opening action scene is just pure gold. So many great one-liners and action scene. I don't know. I like the ending. I mean, as usual, Karate Man's just cuckoo nutty about his recommendations. Still got this on DVD, a true 90s action, cult action classic, one of Stallone's best. Well, that's good. Haven't seen Cobra yet, but I'm glad I saw this one first. Anyways, the two commercial jingles, which are not part of the soundtrack, include the jingle from the 1967 commercial Armour Hot Dogs, sung by Sandra Bullock and Benjamin Bratt in the police car, and the jingle from the 1960s commercial Jolly Green Giant, sung by Dan Cortese in the Taco Bell restaurant. The theme Love Boat of the series of the same name, which is also not part of the soundtrack, was played by Sandra Bullock as a romantic background music in her apartment before the virtual sex between her and Sylvester Stallone. So I guess they're talking about the virtual reality sex stuff, which might be what Karate Man is talking about, predicting the future. I don't know. The film debuted at #1 at the box office. Demolition Man grossed $58 million by the end of its box office run in North America, and a total of $159.1 million worldwide. Lamestream. Film critic Roger Ebert was asked why this film was considered a success, but Last Action Hero was considered a disappointment despite similar budgets and box office grosses. Ebert concluded that it was due to expectations and that the film was seen as a comeback for Stallone, whose career had been flagging, whereas Schwarzenegger failed to live up to his previous record-breaking successes. In 2017, Sylvester Stallone's loan-out company filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers over the disbursement of profits from the film. The lawsuit was settled in 2019. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 64% based on 44 reviews, with an average rating of 5.7 out of 10. The site's consensus reads, a better than average sci-fi shoot 'em up with a satirical undercurrent, Demolition Man is bolstered by strong performances by Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes, and Sandra Bullock. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 34 out of 100 based on 9 reviews, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B on an A+ to F scale. Critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert from At the Movies reviewed the film, Siskel found the film amusing but did not care for the action sequences and gave it a thumbs down, whereas Ebert both enjoyed the satirical edge this film had over other films of this genre, and he thought the action sequences were good for this type of film, and he gave it a thumbs up. I thought the action was okay. There's a lot of filler time in this movie, lots of stupid dialogue. That's the only thing that really irritated me about this film. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times wrote that the film fails to give action fans what they desire, instead substituting out of place satirical commentary. Good point. Vincent Canby of the New York Times called it a significant artifact of our time, at least of this week. Richard Schickel of Time wrote, some sharp social satire is almost undermined by excessive explosions and careless casting. Peter Travers of Rolling Stones criticized the film, calling it sleek and empty as well as brutal and pointless. Just like I said, this is mindless entertainment here. Emmanuel Levy of Variety called it a noisy, soulless, self-conscious passage that mixes elements of sci-fi, action, adventure, and romance, then pours on a layer of comedy replete with Hollywood in-jokes. Levy says it works better as a comic book adventure than did Last Action Hero, but reserves his praise for the technical merits of the film, complementing the high-tech metallic look created by production designer David L. Snyder and his accomplished team, as well as the cinematography of Alex Thomson. He concludes what's badly missing is a guiding intelligence to lift this disjointed pick from its derivative status. I did not like the Wesley Snipes character, by the way. I thought he was annoying after a while. But like I said, the ending fight scene was pretty decent. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly gave it a B-, despite his low expectations of a Joel Silver production. And the Everything Goes Boom school of high-tech action overkill, he found it an intermittently amusing sci-fi satire before it switches to full-tilt destruction mode. Gilberman says, if it's the promise of overwrought violence that lures people into the theaters, I suspect it will be the quieter scenes, the ones with the pretense of wit that keep them satisfied. Hal Hansen of the Washington Post wrote, basically, Demolition Man is a futuristic cop picture with slightly more imagination and wit than the typical of the slash and burn genre. TV Guide praised the film, and they wrote, the pleasant surprise about Demolition Man is that both the script and Stallone are funny. The film blends big-budget action and tongue-in-cheek humor in a way that Last Action Hero tried and failed to do. Philippa Bloom of Empire Magazine gave it 4 out of 5, same as my rating. And she compared it to One Night Stand, not necessarily something you'll remember next day, but fast, furious, and darn good fun while it lasts. Bloom was critical of the thin plot, but called Stallone and Snipes a dynamite screen combination. The film was nominated for 3 Saturn Awards: Best Costumes, Bob Ringwood; Best Special Effects, Michael J. McAllister, Kimberly Nelson Locasio; and Best Science Fiction Film. The MTV Awards nominated Wesley Snipes in the Best Villain category. Sandra Bullock was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award in the Worst Supporting Actress category. Now, I could understand that. I absolutely hated Sandra Bullock in Speed 2, Cruise Control. Demolition Man action figures and vehicles were released in 1993. Produced by Mattel, the toys were based on their new adventures of He-Man style and figures. In addition to 7 action figure, the set included a car, a red convertible called the Fast Blast 442, an airplane Bola jet, and a missile shooter toy gun. Lenina Huxley was not included in the toy line. Hot Wheels released a set of 9 cars from Demolition Man. The Oldsmobile 442 was used in the car chase, and it was also included in the Hot Wheels toys from the film. Acclaim Entertainment and Virgin Interactive released Demolition Man on various home video game systems. The 16-bit versions were shooting games distributed by Acclaim. The 3DO version is a multi-genre game that incorporates full motion video scenes with both Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes reprising their roles as their characters in the scenes that were filmed exclusively for the game. In April 1994, Williams released a wide-body pinball machine, Demolition Man, based on the film. It was designed by Denis Nordman. The game features sound clips from the film, as well as original speech by Stallone and Snipes. A 4-part limited series comic adaptation was published by DC Comics starting in November 1993, written by Gary Cohn and art by Rod Wingham and covers by Kevin Maguire. A novelization written by Robert Tyne using the pseudonym Richard Osborne was published in November 1993. Warner Brothers released Demolition Man on VHS in March 1994, on DVD in October 1997, and November 2010, and on Blu-ray in August 2011. The film will be released by Arrow Video on Ultra HD Blu-ray and Blu-ray on December 10th, 2024. So it was already released, not will be released. This limited edition release includes both the domestic Taco Bell and international Pizza Hut version of the films. Inspired by the film, Dennis Rodman had his hair dyed and styled the same way as the character of Simon Phoenix, played by Snipes, for his San Antonio Spurs debut, which was the start of Rodman dyeing his hair in different colors. Snipes hated this hairdo, and he shaved it off as soon as filming had wrapped. The development of erotic games for the Oculus Rift virtual reality headset have been compared to the virtual sex scenes from the film. To celebrate the film's 25th anniversary, Taco Bell recreated the 2032 San Angeles version of their restaurant at the 2018 San Diego Comic-Con. The film has been described as a cultural touchpoint, and the restrictive future society has been used as an example of government overreach and called a libertarian manifesto. Demolition Man has been referred to as the only plausible dystopian vision of our time. The film found renewed relevance during the COVID-19 pandemic. The film was seen as predictive when there were calls to end the practice of shaking hands and shortages of toilet paper. In the video game Cyberpunk 2077, 3 shells are found in the bathroom of the player's apartment. In 2022, Sylvester Stallone reflected positively on the movie. I've always enjoyed this movie. It was a great action film, wonderfully directed by Marco Brambilla, and the writers were way ahead of their time. In 1993, U.S. Weekly magazine reported a sequel was planned for 1995. In 2006, Stallone was asked about a sequel, and he said, "I'd like to make a sequel to Demolition Man, but I believe that ship has sailed, and maybe there are more challenges waiting on the horizon." On May 4th, 2020, Stallone said, "A sequel is in development." Demolition Man predicted the woke culture. If you say a swear word, you get warning ticket, which happens a lot in the movie. Yeah, that was kind of funny, actually. Come on, Gene Siskel. The opening action scene, the museum action scene, the car chase, the final fight at the cryo prison fight scene are top notch. Have no clue what Gene Siskel is smoking. Well, we're not a big fan of Gene Siskel on this channel. How he dislike action scenes. I think he prefers art house movies, probably. Anyways, Steve Kahan, who plays the police captain at the opening scene, is actually Richard Donner's cousin in real life, in case you didn't notice. He was in so many of his movies. Assassins with Stallone. No, I didn't notice. You're right about that. Steve Kahan? I have no idea who this man is. But Karate Man just told me. Oh, Karate Man's showing off here because I have Assassins on my movie list at number 15. Okay, I'll add his name later. Or how about now? All right, Demolition Man, 1993, rated R, an hour and 55 minutes too long. Gets a whopping 6.7 out of 10. Average rating on IMDb, 200,000 ratings. Popularity 1,817. Down 896, but still very lamestream. A police officer is brought out of suspended animation in prison to pursue an old ultra-violent nemesis who is loose. In a non-violent future society. I wasn't really that impressed with the Wesley Snipes villain. He seemed more like a goofball, and his lines were really sounded dumb. Same with Sylvester Stallone and, of course, Sandra Bullock. Although there may have been some, I think she was trying to overdo the irritation thing, and it came off as funny somehow towards the end. All right, more like this: Judge Dredd, Tango and Cash, Cliffhanger, and Total Recall. Fred Decker did uncredited rewrites on the script. Steve Kahan starring I can't even click on this. All right. Fred Decker did uncredited rewrites on the script. When he was brought on, the script began in the future. And Spartan was introduced when he was brought out of suspended animation. Decker suggested that this movie open with a prologue set in 1996 to showcase Spartan and Phoenix in their natural environment, saying, if you don't show Kansas, Oz isn't that special. Towards the beginning, when gasoline is everywhere and Simon holds the torch close to the ground, it should ignite. It's the fumes that ignite, not the gasoline itself. Here's some rather inane, stupid dialogue, just to give you an example. Lenina Huxley, I have in fact perused some newsreel in the Schwarzenegger library and the time you took that car. John Spartan, hold it. The Schwarzenegger library? Lenina Huxley, yes, the Schwarzenegger Presidential Library. Wasn't he an actor when you, John Spartan, stop? He was president? Lenina Huxley, yes. Even though he was not born in this country, his popularity at the time caused the 61st Amendment, which states, John Spartan, I don't know, president. Although intact for cinema, the UK video version was cut by 2 seconds to remove some face blows and an ear clap during the climactic fight scene. DVD versions feature the same cut print. This was featured in Siskel and Ebert, Fatal Instinct, Demolition Man, The Remains of the Day, and $20 from 1993. Demolition Man, written and performed by Sting, courtesy of A&M Records. And here's the review on IMDb. The featured review is by Paul Hackinson, dated August 9th, 2022. How do I get rid of this? Okay. Mr. Hackinson gives it a lower rating, 6 out of 10. I'm giving it a higher than average rating. This good old-fashioned fun and action is the title of the review. This 1993 action sci-fi thriller from writers Peter M. Lenkoff, Robert Renault, and Daniel Waters is actually a movie that proves somewhat timeless. The storyline in Demolition Man is enjoyable and entertaining, especially because it is a good combination of storytelling and action sequences. And while this isn't exactly Shakespearean storytelling, there's just something great about this action-packed story. Sure, the time frame of the storyline is askew, but the plot was and still is very enjoyable one, and one that makes good old-fashioned, hard-punching action entertainment that spews one-liners left and right, and the way that the future is presented as a non-violent place of harmony where you get fined for foul language and all things that are bad for you are prohibited. Now that is just a stroke of satirical genius. I love that aspect of the movie. Director Marco Brambilla managed to put the script and storyline to the screen in a very enjoyable and entertaining manner, and that is why Demolition Man is a movie that you can watch again and again with some time passing in between each viewing. The movie has a great cast ensemble with some pretty impressive names on the cast list already. The movie is well helmed by Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, and the movie also have the likes of Sandra Bullock, Nigel Hawthorne, Benjamin Bratt, Glenn Shadix, and Denis Leary, and others on the cast list. Demolition Man is definitely one of the more outstanding movies starring Sylvester Stallone, if you don't count in Rambo and Rocky franchises. My rating of Demolition Man, lands on 6 out of 10. So I guess the only problem with the only problem this guy had was the storytelling. All right. Uh, Steve Kahan. Oh, I already put his name in the description. What am I doing? I'm putting his name twice now. Why is Karate Man mentioning his name? I already put his name in the description, in the tag. Come on, you trying to confuse me, Karate Man? We'll say music by Sting. All right. So Karate Man has a question for me. Sting. Which do you prefer, Last Action Hero or Demolition Man or Cliffhanger? I don't even remember Last Action Hero. You're asking me to rate a movie that I don't even remember. Oh. Oh, now I remember. It's that stupid kid movie with Schwarzenegger. Okay. I prefer Demolition Man over Cliffhanger and Last Action Hero. To answer your question. Thank you for the reminder. All right. So going down the list, I've got A Man Called Horse, 1970, Emergency Squad, 1974, and ICU, 2002. Those are the next three coming down the pike. So watch out for that. I'm going to grab some cherry soda, have a little 8-hour nappy poo, and then go to work late because I stayed late for an investor meeting earlier today before I went to the dry cleaners and the gas station. So thank you for the recommendation. It was a decent movie, better than some of the other recommendations. Not a great movie. It had its faults. There were some moments where the dialogue and the acting were completely idiotic. I did not like the Wesley Snipes character, but I still thought there were more than enough good uh, there were more than enough good aspects of this film. It was a kind of a roller coaster. That's the only way I can describe it. Cliffhanger is Karate Man's favorite. Cliffhanger was okay. The beginning scene was unintentional humor on the part of Stallone. When he talks, he sounds retarded, both in Cliffhanger and this one. It sounds like he's got a speech impediment or something. He's got the mind of a third grader. I can't explain it, but it's unintentional humor. That's all I can say. In both this and Cliffhanger. I don't know why people are comparing Last Action Hero to this movie. I thought that movie was terrible. It was painful to watch. Why are we even discussing Last Action Hero? Because it's a lamestream Schwarzenegger movie? I have no idea. Anyways, the next Karate Man recommendation is ICU. And then further down at number 6, I've got Cobra, Tango Cash at number 9, Black Sheep. No. Stopper, My Mom Will Shoot, 1992. The Specialist, 1994. Assassins in 1995. So those are some of the Karate Man recommendations that I've got coming down the pike during the next few weeks. We'll check out ICU this weekend. One of Karate Man's underrated gems, apparently. It's probably another lamestream Schwarzenegger film. We'll have to see what the Wikipedia and the IMDb say about ICU. Laters.